in London for Europe's premier high-stakes cash game. Tonight, 8 of the world's best will sit down with at least $100,000 of their own money in this no-limit Texas Hold'em poker game.
I love playing in big games.
The most exciting part about any cash game is the amount of money you can win.
The chance to, to show your skills that really matter is to be a winning poker player.
And with one of the strongest fields ever assembled, our stellar lineup are under pressure to perform in this, Europe's biggest televised cash game.
The reason why I want to play against these guys is because they are the best in the world.
I'm not intimidated by nobody at the table. Nobody intimidates me.
I feel like I have something to show them.
It's just the nature of my blood.
I don't think you're going to ever find that tougher lineup.
This is the FullTiltPoker.com $1 Million Cash Game.
Frenchman, well known in the poker world. He has one World Series of Poker bracelet. It's David Benjamin. Tom Dwan, or durrrr, he plays poker online in the highest stakes regularly against the best in the world. He has one World Series of Poker bracelet, one WPT title, and nearly $2 million in live tournament winnings. It's Lederer. Seat 4, the professor himself. It's Howard Lederer. His record speaks for itself. 8 World Series of Poker bracelets, 1 WPT title, and over $13 million in tournament winnings. It's Phil Ivey, a British-born player who apparently turned $20 into about $4 million. Used to be a paper boy, is Andrew Feldman. Just 22 years old, Justin Boosted J. Smith has substantial success in high-stakes short-handed ring games. Originally from Helsinki, Finland, and known by most in the poker world as Zygmunt, it's Ilari Sahamis. Robert, day 3 of the $1 Million Cash Game, and we've shuffled up the seats. Andrew Feldman now is positioned on Phil Ivey.
Blinds, please, guys. 3-6.
Lederer has been moved around, and he has position on Tom Dwan. Benjamin in a very tough spot. He's in seat 1 with Tom Dwan behind him. How is that going to change the dynamic of this table?
Well, I'll tell you right now, not only does he have Tom Dwan behind him, but he has Zygmunt leading into him. So probably the worst seat draw of this match for sure is David Benjamin. But it is poker, and I'll tell you right now, David Benjamin, don't count him out.
Benjamin in seat number 1. This is Justin Smith. Justin Smith played in day 1 of the $1 Million Cash Game. Didn't have a great go of it.
Cool.
Benjamin's going to limp in. Ziggy, by the way, is in for $600,000. And there's the professor. Professor had a great showing in the doubles poker tournament. Came in second place in that.
My man, check. Where's Mike Matusow?
5, king, deuce.
Check.
King, 5, deuce. Couple of clubs out there.
2,000.
Well, this flop hits both hands.
Cool.
Ivey with middle pair, Benjamin with middle pair, but a worse kicker.
3.
And right now the 9 of Ivey looks like it's going to play.
And David, look at this.
You can see the percentages next to the players' names.
Check.
And if it goes to showdown, that is the likelihood
Check.
that one of those players will win, the other one will lose. Ivey's going to win this one. They check it down. And day 3 underway. And the more things change, the more they stay the same.
I was going to say, the rich get richer.
Another interesting dynamic about this table is we have a few players with a lot of money behind, but then we have 3 or 4 players with under 100,000.
This is what I love most about poker. Stack size differences. Now you can really play the game because you have to constantly adjust to who has what stack size. I mean, you have to play your hand accordingly.
What do you think about sunglasses at the table? You only have one player at the table wearing them right now.
Well, ironically enough, I think he's also the youngest player at the table.
Raise, 2,000.
Andrew Feldman's probably trying to hide behind his glasses. It's definitely the eyes give tells.
King, 5, deuce.
And Ivey's not doing it. Dwan's not doing it. King, 5, deuce, rainbow.
Check.
Zygmunt takes the lead here with a pair of 5s. He's got second pair. Justin Smith's going to check, and once again we have a battle of the blinds.
3,000.
Justin Smith's in a very vulnerable position. He's a little blind, doesn't have a lot invested, and he doesn't have a pair. But I guess sometimes you might want to float out of position in the middle of a hand.
if they don't look until it comes to me.
Check, check. Here's the river. River is a king of spades.
If Justin Smith takes the reins, he's got this pot. He floated a flop for a reason. I think that he might actually lead at this pot.
I don't think Ziggy folds. I don't think there's any chance. You think Ziggy's going to fold this?
5,200.
Hasn't folded many hands during this entire tournament.
I mean, unless you're putting your opponent on 3-4, which is the open-ended straight draw on the flop, it's an odd play. It's 5,200 to call. The pot is 16,000. You're getting more than 3-1 to make this call.
Actually made such a small bet, it was kind of scary. I mean,
it looks like a value bet. I mean, it looks like you're trying to get value out of a hand. You know, maybe it looks like he's got a weak king or something like that.
2 other kings on the board. It's pretty strong king.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, you just try to think of the way that Smith has played this hand, and it looks like Ziggy's going to let this one go.
I'd be surprised if he made this call, but, you know, he's made a lot of hero calls this tournament. This wouldn't be his first rodeo, that's all I can say.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to give you credit. You were right, because I really thought Ziggy would call this. And they come out in force in London to watch the best in the game. A lot of interested players and a lot of interested fans watching this one.
6 to play. Raise, 2,000.
And Tom Dwan is going to raise.
Yep, Tommy's in.
Cool.
Dwan raises it up with ace-jack. Ellie's going to call with the queen-9 of spades.
I wouldn't want to miss out on this opportunity.
Lederer in there with the axes. He's got the 7s.
Dealer, I'm straddling next hand, so if I forget, I got straddle anyway, okay? 1,200. Maybe Zygmunt will start with me.
Pass.
Yesterday, I didn't miss one straddle all night, so... And the game was really good.
Pass. Pass.
And pretty sure Benjamin's going to call.
Cool.
He does call. And we're going to see this flop 4 ways.
King, 10, ace.
Ace, king, 10.
Check.
It's a big time to have queen, jack. Nobody's got queen, jack, but Tom Dwan does have top pair with a gut shot to Broadway.
David Benjamin with bottom pair and a gut shot. Even Ellie's got a piece of this flop. He's got a gut shot. Howard Lederer's the one kind of left out in the cold here. An under pair to 3 over cards.
6,600.
Call.
Well, the nice thing about those small pairs, though, when you see a flop like this, it's really easy to play. Heads up, Benjamin gets out of the way.
Pass.
Ellie's going to take one off. He's got a gut shot with backdoor spades.
4.
Well, it's no help for him. Ellie drawing very, very thin. Needs a jack and only a jack. And one of them is in Dwan's hand.
I think this was more of a position call. This is probably more of a float than anything else. Ellie thinks he might be able to take this pot away from Tom Dwan on a later street. Maybe the turn.
Those are actually Ellie's good friends. The guy on the left with the long curly hair, that's David Levy, professional poker player. And he's in London for the festivities. Ellie says this hand is over. Gives a nice smile.
He didn't hold my hand, so he knew what I'm doing.
Ellie's got a great smile. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Tom Dwan on top, 213,000. Phil Ivey, 192 up. Ellie Lederer, 143. The rest of the table is down. Howard Lederer, the professor, down 4,600. Ooh, Ziggy, down 30,85.5.
Just sounds bad the way you say it.
It is bad.
It is bad, right?
1,200 straddle.
8 of the best in the world are seated around this table. Button in front of Ziggy. Ellie Lederer has decided to straddle.
12 to play.
Ah, straddle. One of my favorite words.
Action is on the professor.
Raise, 36.
The professor has made it 3,600 to go. That's 3x. And when I say 3x, I'm saying 3 times the big blind. X meaning the big blind.
Pass.
Lederer's done it with 2 4s.
This particular circumstance, it's actually 3 times the straddle.
Exactly.
Pass.
This is an interesting play. Howard Lederer has a reputation for being pretty tight, and he's raising from under the gun with 2 4s.
I like it. Might as well use your reputation to win these kind of pots, or hope to win them.
And to be a successful poker player, not only is it important to know what kind of player you are, but it's important to know how your opponents see you.
Deuce, 5 deuce.
Pretty good flop for fours.
Great flop for Howard Lederer, really. Doesn't look like it's any danger at all.
He has to bet, though, right?
Of course, he has to protect his hand. He can't let overcards get a free card here.
6,000.
Give your opponent a chance to fold. And Ellie's going to give this one up, it looks like. Yeah, he does. Well, he's going to give up at least one of the cards.
Respect.
Respect.
Sir, you want to write down all our bets we have for me so we can just verify everything?
I think it's much more fun arguing about bets 3 months later when you're not really sure what you all had.
Elliot Lederer, he looks like the uncle I've never had that I've always wanted.
It's funny. He looks like somebody off The Sopranos. I'll tell you what, I'd like him to be in my corner. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. What a fun guy.
Yeah, former lieutenant in the Israeli army. Nothing's going to scare this guy, especially a bunch of poker players.
Pass.
You like to see a little better, don't you?
This is a pretty scary crowd, I'll tell you, this group.
A little bit, yeah. But I still don't think I'm going to win overall against you.
You're going to win overall against me?
No, I still don't think I will.
I am looking to lay 2-1 against anyone in the world. 2 bracelets in 2 years. Even Daniel Alahi.
Raise 2,000.
Ziggy is going to play. He's got a pocket nines.
Okay, I got Phil Ivey.
Don't blame him. Looks to be a good hand so far.
And 10 deuce works for Doyle Brunson, but not so much. Tom Dwan.
Cool.
And Ellie is going to call. He's going to trap.
2 aces out of position. I don't mind this.
Jack 8-7. Check.
Pretty good flop for nines, though. Only 1 overcard with a gut shot.
Well, it seems like a good flop for nines. I mean, the reality is 2 nines are in a lot of trouble here.
3,500.
Just has to happen. No, but I know.
Yeah, he's a 3-1 dog. He needs a 9 or a 10 to take the lead on Elliot Lederer.
That's like that is cheating.
Jack. Check.
You know what, though? 9's looking better and better if you're Ziggy. Now, we can see, obviously, that he's way behind, but if you're Ziggy, you probably think your 9s are good right now.
You love 2 nines in this spot, a majority of the time, but Elliot Lederer decided to slow play these aces.
9,500.
Another thing is, I took another.
I suspect he'll keep slow playing them because now he's actually afraid of what he's against.
Now, he's not going to fold that. Looked like maybe for a second he was going to fold. There's no way he's folding here.
Nah.
But like you said, I'm not sure if he's going to raise now.
I think he was planning to somewhere along the way. Now, I think he'll be content just to try to win this pot, period.
Cool.
And he's going to call again. Pot now $31,100.
Queen.
River's a queen. Doesn't really change anything.
Not too much.
Well, it's one of those spots where if you were beat, you were already beat. The queen didn't change anything. 9-10 was already there.
Check.
18.
18,000.
And this is what you call a value bet. Looks like the 2 nines are good. He's definitely going to go ahead and bet here. If I'm Zygmunt, I bet as well.
If you're Ziggy, what are you putting Ellie on? And remember, Ellie does defend from the blinds pretty light. He could be in there with something like ace-7, ace-8, right?
Any hand that might have a 7 or 8, it looks like the 2 nines are good here. I'll be surprised if we see a raise all the same because, I mean, Zygmunt could have a jack in his hand.
Ellie can't raise this, can he?
No. Oh, I mean, I don't think he can.
Yes, he can.
Raise.
Well, it shows you I don't think as well as I do at times, but wow.
43,000 total.
And it's a very unorthodox check raise on the river. Elliot Lederer has slow played this from the start, and now he decides to check raise the river, and I just don't know if he could have gotten called by a worse hand.
That's the problem right there. The way Ellie played that hand, it's tough to get paid off in that spot, but you can get paid off all right by a hand that beats you.
Elliot Lederer now up $174,000.
Straddling?
I'm straddling all the time. Yeah.
1,200 straddle.
Welcome back to the FullTiltPoker.com $1 million cash game. Elliot straddled here.
Pass. Pass. Pass.
Folger on the Justin Smith. Not going to play. Ziggy passes.
Pass.
Benjamin going to call.
Cool.
Dwan calls, and now it's up to Lederer. And Lederer says, let him live, let's see a flop.
Ace, Jack, 9.
Ace, Jack, 9, couple of spades out there. Second pair, David Benjamin.
Check. Check.
Check.
10.
Pretty coordinated flop here with ace, jack, 9, 2 spades, and the 10 completes a lot of straights.
Dwan has picked up third pair to the board. Lederer now is open-ended.
2,700.
Dwan gets out of the way. David Benjamin still with the best of it, though, pair of jacks.
And he led accordingly. Jacks figured to be good at this point.
And the pot's somewhat small, only one card to come. Is it really any value to call this, if you're Lederer?
No, not at all.
I think some players make the mistake of making this call because it's somewhat transparent.
I much prefer, if you're going to call, why not raise? I mean, could have made a straight right here.
Well, this plan.
Raise. 6,500.
This play I like. I mean, you raise it, and you now have two ways to win the pot. You can get your opponent to fold, and of course, if your opponent does call, you can still hit. You also kind of disguise your holding a little bit, don't you?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Benjamin calls.
Deuce. Check.
Well, that's a blank on the river. That's about as much of a blank as you can get.
Yeah, bet sizing is going to be very important to the finish of this hand. Ellie's going to make a bluff at it most likely, I believe.
Benjamin was able to call that turn raise partly because Lederer didn't bet the flop, I think.
Absolutely.
Is it believable that Lederer would check a pair on the flop or a draw?
I think he would reasonably, within his hand range, check either one, a draw or a pair.
22.
22,000.
This is a great bet by Lederer here.
Lederer overbets the pot as a bluff. He only has 8 high. The pot was 17,000. He bets 22,000. Really puts Benjamin to the test.
I really like this bet sizing. It works.
Ellie up $185,000. Really a phenomenal showing for Lederer.
Definitely worth the flight over to London for a couple of $100K.
Even if you fly first class and you stay in the nicest hotel in London, and London is not a cheap town. If you're making $185,000, you're doing okay. Tom Dwan still our leader, though, up $214,000. Benjamin down $144 now, and Alari Sahamis, better known as Ziggy, is down a whopping $424,000.
How much would you eat meat every night for a year? Some form of meat.
That's maybe an impossibly large number.
Straddle, 1,200.
Ivey's decided to straddle this time.
You can probably eat meat every night. Hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
That's so gross.
You just swallow it without
Hot dogs
smelling
from
it.
London. Or cheeseburgers from London.
You know, like as Howard was, imagining it, he's probably trying to think of like a Dover sole kind of dish or something. And you just throw out hot dogs.
That's what Daniel told Phil when the bet went through. Daniel told him, don't worry about it.
Raise,
There's those
4,500.
places, the hamburger from veggie, but it tastes like real hamburger. And Phil said, yes, he was listening to it about all this, and he lasted 2 weeks.
That's pretty good. You lasted 2 weeks.
Benjamin, suited ace. He's at ace-9. I think he's definitely going to call. He's considering making a 3-bet here, though.
Actually, your body has to adjust to it.
Withdraw.
Benjamin decides just to call.
Withdraw for no meat.
No, definitely your body adjusts.
Well, the professor's definitely going to play this hand. It's just a question of does he 3-bet or not.
Cool.
He decides not to. He decides just a smooth call from the blind. Ivey gets out of the way, and we're going to see the flop 3 ways.
You had to get meat to settle it?
699.
I don't know what it meant.
And this could be a dangerous flop.
Check.
If you are Howard Lederer. Flop is 996. Benjamin with trip 9s. Lederer with 2 pair. And he's got to think it's unlikely for one of his opponents to have a 9 in his hand. So he thinks maybe his 9s and his 8s are good. Let's see how this plays out.
9,500.
Ziggy bets 9,500. The third best hand actually bets.
This is one of those kind of do as I say, not as I do kind of hands. On the 2 8s here, I feel like my hand's good. If I'm the 2 3s, it's a pretty good flop for my 2 3s. But if I'm David Benjamin with 3 9s, I'm trying to think, how can I extract more money from my opponents right now?
I mean, it's certainly not crazy for each one of these 3 players to think they have the best of it. And Lederer deciding how to play this. Now, there is a draw out there, open-ended straight draw if somebody had 7-8. But if you're Lederer, it's unlikely somebody would have a 7-8 in their hand because you have 2 8s in your hand.
Oh, come on, let me out of the bet, man.
The last time Benjamin flopped a monster with the 4 deuce of spades, he decided just to smooth call. And by smooth calling, he virtually doubled up.
Cool.
He's going to smooth call this one again. And look at that. Professor folds the 8s without a second thought.
How much?
How much higher?
Uncanny sense of where he's at, and he just knew he was behind.
40. 39 or 40.
But I
Queen.
thought 3 weeks was right around.
Zygmunt not drawing dead. He can catch a 3 on the river to win this.
That's a great card for David Benjamin's hand. Figures to get paid off by a lot of hands because it looks like a complete blank. I think Zygmunt's going to lead into him here, and he does.
10,000.
That's a small bet for Zygmunt.
He varies his bet sizing drastically. I think he likes to underbet, overbet. Likes to be unpredictable.
It's very difficult to get a read on what he has by his bet sizes. I mean, how do you play against a guy like that?
Proceed with caution. That's what I would suggest and recommend.
Cool.
Benjamin makes the call.
Be very
Pot is
trapping.
54,000. Here's the river. Ooh, I thought it was a 3. It's not. It's the deuce of hearts. At this point, Ziggy's got to realize he's behind. He checks. I think he's given up.
I'm all in.
31,000 doesn't feel like it's the right size bet to make here.
Really, the pot is 54.
I like the fact that it puts him all in. It looks like he's desperate and trying to stab, with his last money.
Benjamin might be aware of the fact that Ziggy has made some really, really
weak calls.
Well, I mean, he makes some hero calls, thin calls. Thinks his opponents are bluffing a lot. And maybe that's why Benjamin moved all in. Ziggy's certainly thinking about this one. Remember, Ziggy didn't bet much on the turn. If Benjamin was floating with a hand like Ace-Jack, he might have decided to take one more off.
Yeah, I don't mind the push all in here, especially with a deuce in the river. Feels like that Zygmunt's hand could still be good.
David Benjamin all in. The pot is 85,800, and Ziggy
he
calls.
does get paid off. David Benjamin played this hand tricky, and he got paid for it.
And Ziggy has made 5 or 6 really, really thin calls, and he hasn't been right once. Larry Sahami's having a very bad day. Benjamin's still down, trying to crawl his way out of it. He's still down $83,000, but that one's going to help.
1,200 straddle.
Feldman in the straddle. Justin Smith first to act.
I told you that I have 2 sevens and I led into her for 75,000.
Cool.
She lost 55 on this one. She was winning 2 and she did it now.
Pass.
You see a couple of limps here. David Benjamin. Limps, that's going to bring Ellie in as well.
Cool.
The size of the stacks, I like a limp here and there.
Cool.
I'm not crazy about Howard Lederer just flatting.
Cool.
King, queen.
Yeah, he's in the small blind.
He's out of position.
Twice in the tournament.
Check.
She's really taking over the table.
Obviously, it could be an experience.
Queen, ace, jack.
Flop comes out ace, queen, jack. Couple of clubs out there.
Check. Check.
Top pair for Ellie.
Check.
Howard Lederer catches second pair plus a gut shot. Feldman catches bottom pair.
33?
33.
Yeah, you just bet 78,000. Good thing you announced it.
33,000. He's got so many of them, you know what I mean?
I announced 33, Howard. I'm sorry. I know you had the 10K.
Doesn't that have to be 33,000? That was like 78,000. We can't hold him to 33,000?
It checks around to the button, and Ellie says, you know what? I've got top pair. I'll take a shot at it.
Don't blame him.
I'd be fighting harder if I had king 10 there.
78. I have the king 10 here.
And Ellie's going to take that pot down. And considering everybody limped in, still a pretty good pot. Wins himself $10,100. And Ellie is quickly approaching the $200,000 mark.
And the straddle's on for 1,200.
And we're going to play a little short-handed for a few moments.
You and your man right there.
Phil Ivey has stepped away, but he's actually still playing. He's in the small blind.
I'm a non-Jew.
You are 100% Jew.
I'm not a Jew.
Come on, Billy.
I'm not Jewish.
No, you and him are not. He's 100%
Me?
Jew.
I'm 100% Jew.
But the news is our big loser, Ziggy Elari Sahamis, is done. He's going to take his $475,000 loss and go home with that.
Okay, raised to 2,400.
Okay, give him the 300 back.
And action is on. Andrew Feldman, he's not going to play. Dynamic of the game has definitely changed without Ziggy at the table.
9-3, and Justin Smith thinking about defending this one.
Well, he's just hoping to outplay him after the flop, obviously.
Well, maybe not. No, he is going to defend.
Cool.
Yep. He knows Tom Dwan's going to raise a very wide variety of hands at this point.
6-5 queen.
But if you know your opponent's going to raise a wide variety of hands, why call with 9-3 offsuit? Why not 3-bet?
Basically, he's hoping to outplay him somewhere along the way, but yet at the same time, not have to risk a lot of money.
Bet 3,300.
Well, let's hand it to Justin Smith. At least he went into this hand with a plan. He decided to just stop and go, and I assume he was going to make this move whether he hit the flop or not. He obviously has completely missed this flop, queen 6-5, and he's decided to fire into it.
Cool.
Well, he got real unfortunate here because Tom Dwan did catch a piece of this bottom pair.
Queen. Check or bet?
Another queen on the turn. Dwan with 2 pair, queens and 5s.
This is kind of a problem for Justin Smith. Came a freeze card, paired the board with the top pair. Doesn't look like it could have helped his hand.
Well, I mean, he could have tripped queens, couldn't he? I mean, couldn't he be let out with hand like queen 10?
Yeah, but as in helping his hand, if he already had a queen, he had the best hand to begin with.
Good point.
That's 7,600.
He's going to try to represent it.
Yeah, he's going to fire a second bullet.
If I'm Tom Dwan here, the way Justin Smith put his chips in the pot there, he's trying to show strength. He kind of splashed them. Feels weak to me. I'm Tom Dwan. I'm going to at least call this turn. And I think he's going to, too.
He does call.
Cool.
Pot is now $27,800, and Smith needs a 9.
Queen. Check or bet?
Yeah, that's a really, really bad.
Yeah.
Because now what are you going to represent if you're Smith? What were you betting on the flop, the turn, and the river?
I think what we're going to see here is, I give up, don't shoot. Can't really fire again another bullet here. It seems like almost impossible, but there's only 1 queen left in the deck, that he has 4 queens.
I mean, unless he's got a 6. I mean, he could have let out with, say, ace-6 or something along those lines. The turn comes out a queen. He goes, you know what? I really think my 6 is good. I'm going to fire again.
Yeah, he'd have to play this hand pretty tricky for that. I think we'll see some surrender value from Justin Smith.
Check. Check.
And it goes check, check. Dwan's going to win this with a full house. Queens full of 5s.
Oh, you filled up on the river and you didn't bet.
Sometimes fool checks. Do not make a fool out of himself.
Yep. The guy is checking full houses.
I'm weak tight.
And sometimes the guy checks a royal flush. The other day it happened.
And it didn't work out for Justin Smith, and he's down $73,100. But I'll give him this. You know, at least when he called pre-flop, he went into the hand with a plan. Didn't work, but he went in with a plan. And our lovely dealer, Carly, doling out the cards.
Pass.
No, only in Tom it'll take another 20 seconds for him to call. Call.
Call 1,200.
And we're 6-handed here for a little bit. Phil Ivey has stepped away from the table. Once again, Ziggy has not only stepped away, but he stepped out of the building. He's done.
No, it's not Elvis left the building. It's Zygmunt left the building.
Pass.
And this was a straddled pot. Benjamin decided to straddle.
I think this is a good spot for David Benjamin to straddle.
Well, it might be a good spot for David Benjamin to straddle, but I like the spot for Justin Smith. He's got the aces.
He's definitely going to re-raise with 2 other opponents still in this pot.
Yeah, nobody's actually raised. Lederer actually just limped in for 1,200.
Raise to 7,600.
Justin Smith going to raise out of position. He makes it 7,600. And Benjamin, king 9 of clubs. Lederer also has clubs. He's dominated in the same clubs.
Call.
Lederer's only put 1,200 in. Is he going to call for 64 more?
I can't see how, unless he's got a good CB handle. You know, 10-4, good buddy.
And Elliot is going to call this.
Cool.
Very speculative call by Lederer. Pot now $23,700.
Is the button still here? No, that's oh, it's Phil button. Yeah, yeah.
Phil Ivey rejoins the game, but he's only going to observe this one.
10-6 jack.
Pair of 10s for Lederer. Benjamin has picked up a gut shot as well as backdoor clubs. Smith still well in command of his aces. How do you play it if you're Smith?
Not a great flop for 2 aces, but I don't mind this flop either. I think he needs to lead at this pot. There's already almost 24,000 in dead money in there.
Way to pick a side, Robert. Right on the fence there, huh? I don't hate this flop. I don't like this flop. Come on, do you like it or not?
Well, I mean, with 2 aces, there's really not many bad flops.
16,200.
16,200 is the bet.
I call.
Ellie is not going anywhere. Justin Smith bet 16,200, and Ellie's going to call. And remember, just a couple of hands ago, Ellie watched Justin Smith fire 2 bullets with a bluff, and it didn't work, and that's fresh in Ellie's mind. Ellie said he just saw Justin Smith bluff.
Justin Smith only has 62,000 left in his stack, so stack size is going to come into consideration.
Oh, that's
my
just
gosh.
hideous.
Well, the sick part about this is Justin Smith could be in some trouble here.
Well, not could be in trouble. He's in trouble. It's just a matter of is he going to go broke or not. He does have outs. He can catch his ace. Ellie hits trip 10s on the turn. Pot is 56,000. Action on Justin Smith.
It's hard for Justin Smith to put Ellie on this.
Come on.
I call.
All in and a call.
Oh.
An all in for Justin Smith and a quick call for Ellie Lederer. And Justin Smith is sick. Absolutely sick to his stomach.
Well, especially against 10-4. I mean, Ellie has to love the fact you got to turn this hand over. You get to show him. I called a bet and a raise.
Called a substantial raise. Here's the river. He needs an ace and only an ace.
Him.
Nope. Oh, wow.
Oh, just for good measure.
He got a royalty.
4 of a kind takes.
Another one.
And Justin Smith raises it to 7,400 from out of the blinds. Gets called by 10-4. And Ellie Lederer makes trips on the turn. It all goes in right there. And then to pour some salt on the wound, he makes quads on the river. And he felts Justin Smith. Ellie Lederer, now our big winner. He's up nearly $284,000. Welcome back to the FullTiltPoker.com $1 Million Cash Game. And in this cash game, people come and go. But here we are, the famous, the Great Dane. There was a time where he was one of the 50 most sexiest people in People magazine. Well, the years haven't been that kind for the Great Dane, Gus Hansen. But he's still one of the most dangerous players at the table. And unfortunately for him, he's got a broken leg.
And they say poker's not a contact sport. I'll tell you what.
And he's got a decent seat at the table for it, though. He's got $100,000. And I certainly wouldn't bet on him losing.
Really?
He's not going to play the first hand.
I was going to squeeze, but
Straddle is on.
And that is a straddle from Justin Smith.
I did see one beautiful hand yesterday, Phil. You against Sigmund.
Yes.
Where? Here?
No. PLO. You had the Jack
Raised
10-9-6.
4,200.
And you check raised him on the Ace King 5. And he called with a deuce 4-7-8.
Ellie raised it up to 4,200.
What happened after that?
Okay.
Well, I mean, obviously fireworks.
Sigmund raises and Phil calls. Classic hand. The flop came to Ace King 5. Sigmund bets with a deuce 4-7-8. There's no suit. And obviously Phil has to check raise with a Jack 10-9-6. Then the 4 comes on the turn, and they both settle down and go for the check. And then obviously Mr. Superstar hits the queen on the river, leads out for half the pot, and Sigmund goes all in.
6 ace 4.
As usual, Phil gets the call with the nuts.
No, he shoved. Sigmund shoved.
I said, as usual, Phil gets the call with the nuts.
Sigmund then went into a total rant because he hit that queen.
What was he saying on there?
Oh, he just hit like that on the tie board for like 28 times.
Look at this, Justin Smith with a flush draw. Ellie Lederer, top pair, queen kicker.
Yeah, these are the kind of flops that create action. I suspect we're going to see some action here for sure.
Looks like Justin Smith is definitely contemplating leading right out.
It was a little weird because he called me to play, then he says, he ended up with like 143. He bought it for 100. He says, I want to move tables. I don't want to play deep.
6,500.
And he does. He bet 6,500.
I don't think that's going to scare Ellie at all. I think Ellie's going to try to decide, do I raise here or just call? I don't think it's a matter of, do I fold?
He has actually figured out how to beat Phil Ivey. If you have exactly you don't want to be too short, you don't want to be too deep. He's got the strategy for the 100 ball. So he's going to keep doing that to you. And you're going to wonder why you're stuck to him like in a year. It's because he's always got 100.
Well, Ellie's never going to fold this. If Ellie folds, I'm walking out of the booth and I'm going home, okay?
Oh, come on, Ellie. Don't leave me here by myself.
To a science, I swear.
Harrington got me last night.
Call.
Him and Cole South. Best ever.
5.
Turns a 5. That's going to give a few more outs for Justin Smith. He can now catch a 7. He has a gut shot to go along with his flush draw. But he is a 3-1 dog with 1 card to come. And Smith fired once and was called once. Now how do you play it?
I think he senses there might be a chance that he's not going to be able to buy this pot.
17-4.
Bet 17,400. Call.
Ellie calls. Here's the river.
8.
It's an 8.
Now Justin Smith has showdown value. I think we'll see a check and a check behind. Dangerous board, 4 to a straight.
Doesn't Smith know, though? I mean, at this point, Smith's got to know that Lederer's got the ace.
What is this Ivey everybody's talking about? what is that? I mean, can't they just play the cards?
He might know he has an ace, but he's trying to figure out how can I win that money that's out there.
I mean, if Smith knows that Lederer has the ace, are you going to fire a 3rd bullet and try to get him off it?
Yeah,
or do you just give up?
In this coordinated of a board, Justin Smith is pretty creative, but I don't think he'll try this one. Well, as I say that, he reaches for chips. Guess he's going to try after all.
It is a scary board. Smith, by the way, with 67,000 behind. Oh, he does bet.
36,400.
Smith has never slowed down. He bets 36,000.
How much more you got?
If you're Justin Smith right now with just a pair of 8s and you get asked how much you got, not a good question to hear.
Looks like a 30 ball.
Yeah, about 30. Not quite.
That's all.
Action on Ellie. He does have top pair, the queen kicker. But Justin Smith has fired on the flop, the turn, and now the river. He's fired 30 bullets. He showed a lot of heart.
What kind of golf match could we make now?
Right now? I don't like my... I need a little spot.
Yeah, you get some sort of spot.
By the way,
you can still swing.
Actually,
you can still swing.
We could make some bets, like yards off the tee, like three.
He can still swing.
Like
What else can you do? You can putt.
You can obviously putt.
You could probably finish around.
I know what I can do.
This is not a value bet, obviously. This is a bluff, right?
Absolutely. He turned his hand into a bluff. This is a really tough spot for Ellie.
At the end of the day, I think Justin Smith is trying to bluff the wrong guy.
That'd be an interesting match. Yeah. What exactly is wrong? Your Achilles?
36-4?
You're right or left? You swing right-handed? You're right-handed?
Who would be a favorite, me or Gus, right now?
You against Gus right now?
Yeah.
And that's a match. That you probably get that one on even.
No, I bet on
I probably
Gus.
would bet on Gus. Yeah.
I mean, Gus has to be able to hit it 100 yards off the tee.
He can just throw it with his left hand 100 yard.
Gus?
Compared to him hitting the ball.
I should be able to, but I mean...
Oh, like you've got a boot. You don't even have to worry that much, right?
You've played once.
Twice, 3 times. I'm bad. I probably average if I was really trying to shoot, you know, right around 200.
Nah, you have it this time.
You have it this hand. Wow, what a laydown.
Big laydown.
And it's the wrong laydown.
The 10-4 didn't get there on the river of the turn this time.
This time it did. I'm so proud of myself making those good ones.
Way to reassure the confidence, buddy.
Justin Smith still down $134,000, but he's feeling good right now. He fires 3 bullets, 2 on the semi-bluff, turns the semi-bluff into a real bluff, and he gets a Lederer off of ace-queen. Well played by Justin Smith. And with that hand, Elliot Lederer slips into second place. Tom Dwan is back in the lead. He is up $250,000. Phil Ivey up $188,000. Justin Smith still down $134,000. He is our big loser at this table, but he feels a lot better now.
They're considering doing a webcast of the final table here in London. They don't think they can control security, so they're thinking about doing the final table on a 3-hour delay. Would actually be able to have people watching the webcast telling you about hands that were 3 hours old. Do you think that that changes the game a lot?
On the main event?
Main event of the London
100% I disagree. You can't have nobody texting you after 3 hours with how you play the hand. That's terrible. Some of us don't have to worry about this stuff because they're never going to make a final table.
You talking to me? No, I said they'd have to talk about it. And like, I'd be looking down at my phone and they'd be going, yep, he's getting a text. They'd have to be totally open that that was happening.
Right.
David Benjamin has decided to straddle this pot. Action is on Mr. Tom Dwan.
In Matusow, they had a 15-minute delay.
15 minutes?
And but did they have security?
No.
What?
Well, now by the way, it's fair. It's a different game. It's just a different game.
No, it's not. What happens when you just have a really long hand go down?
And when did they play final table?
Oh no, I get that. Yeah.
I mean, they literally probably had a 15-minute hand.
Well, with you at the table, yeah, probably. Slow as you play.
Yeah, no, you never tanked on me for 15 minutes or anything.
Like disgusting.
By the way, it would definitely
And
be
then folded.
One time in 4
With
years.
fourth pair.
One time in 4 years.
With fourth pair.
And you've done it
With fourth
20
pair.
times in the last 2 days.
By the way, Phil, do you think you'd be at
Over with like 30,000 in the middle? Huh?
Do you think you'd be at some huge disadvantage if like it was no delay and people were just seeing how you were playing live?
I think it's stupid. Just everyone's going to be on their phone the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's just like whoever can
But
get the most.
that's what's going to happen with the 3-hour delay.
Why not just do 6
People
hours?
are going to be
Not as
texting you.
A lot of people are going to be out.
You can't remember a hand from 3 hours ago.
You know, you have guys at home that are watching.
Yeah,
it.
why not just do 6-hour delay?
4 ways to the flop. 9-8 deuce, rainbow.
Nice flop for David Benjamin.
Second pair for a Lederer.
Because the final table is going to go, what, 14 total? You know, like it's so unlikely to matter where two people have a big hand and then are still both in 6 hours later, you know?
Cool.
Or 5 hours or whatever. I think the longer you make it, like obviously 1 day is fine, you know?
Seems like it.
Queen.
I think 3 hours is a little short though. But still not a big deal.
Check.
A bit of a scare card on the turn.
12,000.
Benjamin decides to check. Lederer bets.
I like that. I actually love that check. I mean, you don't want this pot too big. Check call, it's fine.
Look. Cool. The reason why I was objecting to the idea, but I think Maury's going to push it and make it happen anyway, is that I think they're being lazy.
It's going to go check, and Benjamin's going to win the pot.
In that, okay, so do live or semi-live webcasts with hole cards, but make the organizers and the producers figure out a way to make it secure.
Welcome back to the FullTiltPoker.com $1 Million Cash Game. Action on Gus. This time, Justin Smith has straddled.
Obviously, it's now been...
Benjamin's going to call it the Queen 10.
Continuing his limp-in theory.
Durrrr not going to play.
Cool.
Ellie calls. That's why he called. Action on the professor. He's going to fold.
Cool.
Ivey calls, and that's why he called.
I like this smooth call from Ivey. He's out of position, and his hand is disguised if he happens to make it.
Well, the odds are we won't see an ace in the flop, since 3 of them are in the player's hands. And
cool.
Feldman wants to see a flop as well. And now it's up to Justin Smith. A lot of dead money in the pot. Might we see the squeeze play? No, you're not going to see a squeeze.
3 jack 6.
You know what? He didn't make a squeeze, but he flopped an open-ended straight draw.
Check, check.
Unfortunately for him, he's up against a big flush draw from Phil Ivey. A lot of draws out there. Feldman's missed it completely. Nobody with a jack right now, but Ivey with the nut flush draw.
4,200.
Justin Smith with an open-ended straight draw. And Justin Smith, you notice so far, he loves to bet his draws. He leads right into the field with his draws. We saw him do it with a flush draw. We saw him do it now. We see him do it now with a straight draw.
The great part about leading your draws is you get paid off when you hit your hands because they think, wow, he's probably had a made hand, not a drawing hand.
Raise. 13,000.
Well, this is the only danger when Phil Ivey's in the pot. He might re-raise on a draw. And that's what he's done right here.
Kind of the one hand you don't want to be up against when you have 5-4. You can see that Ivey's a big favorite.
It's a great re-raise because if Phil Ivey, worst case scenario, had to stick all his chips in the middle, he's got the nut flush and at least one over to the board.
Justin Smith trying to figure out what Phil Ivey's raised him with. If he thinks Phil Ivey has something like ace-jack, you can call this. Problem is if he has ace-9 of hearts, it eliminates a couple of your outs.
In addition, Phil Ivey's going to be in first bluff position on the turn here. So, and I'd say there's a big percentage of the time Phil Ivey leads at this next card, no matter what it is.
Cool.
Pot is 32,800. Here's the turn.
7.
And it's a 7 of diamonds, and look at that.
Well,
Justin Smith has made the nuts.
Phil Ivey will regret leading into this pot. and I suspect he will.
Justin Smith is not out of the woods, though. Phil Ivey can catch a heart to win this hand. Justin Smith is a 4-1 favorite now. Tables have turned.
Check.
Great check by Phil Ivey there.
And Ivey decides to check.
It'd be tempting to, after check raising that flop, it'd be tempting to go ahead and lead there.
Justin Smith with the nuts.
When you get to our age, you need to play that.
I'm just going to get a massage.
28,000.
The black chip is 25,000. The red ones are 1,000. The bet is 28,000.
Well, he's trying to make the flush draws pay a bad price. I mean, obviously they're not getting the right price to draw anymore. Great bet by Justin Smith here.
Justin Smith is 83,000 behind. Phil Ivey has him covered.
I think Justin Smith realized that he might be up against a flush draw, and he's trying to price him out of this pot.
Phil Ivey gives it up. Strong check raise from Phil Ivey on the flop. He gets called. He misses the turn, and he's going to give it up. And he's gonna rabbit hunt there. Wants to see if he would have made it or not. Justin Smith now down 115,000. Once a year, right around this time every year, the best in the poker world descend upon London. Ivey, Hansen, Lederer, Benjamin, Dwan. And these are just the players that are in the game now.
12 struggle.
You know it's a tough lineup when most everybody goes by like one part of their name.
Cool.
Not even to mention, I mean, we've had Patrick Antonius, Chris Jesus, Ferguson. These are guys that were in the game already and are out.
Cool.
Well, some of them I think might have took their winnings and ran.
We've got a straddled pot here. Gus Hansen has decided to straddle the Great Dane in seat number 8.
That's where it is in Amsterdam.
Benjamin calls, Dwan calls. Action on the professor, he's going to fold.
A lot of times you start the avalanche when you have a person limp.
Cool.
That's what's happening here. Avalanche meaning that once one person calls, it's kind of the snowball effect.
And everybody calls. Feldman calls with 5-4. Ivey in there with Queen 10.
Cool.
Well, Gus Hansen's got a little slick. That's my nickname for the deuce 3.
Gus going to make a move here with 3 deuce?
He's capable of it.
And he does. The Great Dane. You got to love it. The Great Dane.
11,100 more.
He said, wow, there's a lot of dead money in that pot. I can't stand myself. I got to try to steal it.
And he makes it 11,100 more, and it looks like it's going to work. Oh, I hope he shows a table. Come on, show the table, Gus. Show the table.
One time.
Guess he just couldn't help himself.
No, he's not going to show. Picks up all the dead money, though. Phil Ivey's excited about it.
Well, I guess that's Phil's version of excited.
Well, Gus Hansen has just added 10% to his stack.
Gus is winning pot after pot.
Yeah, I'm playing great.
He stole our 1,200s, and then he just took down Phil Ivey, man.
By the way, that's not easy to take down Mr. Ivey. To you, Mr. Ivey.
Well, you got David, Tom, Ellie, and I to all fold our, after putting 1,200 in the pot. That's
3,500.
That's pretty sweet.
Oh, I left a lot of 1,200 out there.
like that parlayed with beating Phil Ivey in a pot is like, I don't know, man, like 30 to 1.
Feldman's going to raise it up with the trays.
I don't want it.
Folds around to the blinds.
Tell you what, Andrew looks like he was steaming from the last hand. I might look him up.
Cool.
35, right?
35.
Ellie's okay calling this one. Lederer is not, though. And we got a heads up.
Andrew, I'm going to do the Phil Hellmuth to you.
Ellie versus the kid.
You know that? You ever see that? Gus did it one time. When Phil did it, Gus bed blind.
Check.
Not a bad flop for threes, though. 5-4-4.
Very good flop for threes.
Although you got to be a little bit cautious. If a 5 comes off, your threes are garbage.
4,500.
18. See, Phil will never do that.
18,000.
Phil Hellmuth would never do that. He will call and say I slow play and I
trap myself. And
with a paired board out there, there is a risk of your hand being counterfeited.
Absolutely is.
Feldman bets. Lederer raises it up. The check raise.
I suspect we'll see a call from Andrew Feldman.
What is it about Andrew Feldman that everybody wants to pick on him?
Maybe it's those sunglasses. He looks like a little bit like Starsky and Hutch or something. I don't know.
Well, now you're dating yourself.
I wonder how much Phil Hellmuth overvalues implied table image. I'm going to fold these next 30 hands in a row to you because I'm going to trap you.
It's so bad.
2 hours from now, he's literally tripled his chips based on implied future table image.
Phil's not even here and people still have to ride on him. I feel bad for him. That's a rough life.
That's what he wants.
Yeah, but Howard had a detailed rag there, so I think it was okay.
And it's like totally true.
If you just say like, oh, Phil Hellmuth, some genuine or some standard insult, I mean, then
It wasn't even a rag. It was like a critique of his game.
Yeah, he
overvalues
I think he had like a
implied
detailed
table image
assessment
equity.
there.
Please don't use those words, equity and
Can you write
EV.
Can you write a thesis on it, Howard?
You mad at me, Phil?
I can never be mad at you, Gus.
I know that.
I can only be disappointed.
Now, Feldman's got to decide, is a Lederer a draw or not? If he puts a Lederer on a draw, like a hand like a 6-8, 6-7, something like that, you're actually not in very good shape because the guy's got overcards, plus the straight draw possibilities, plus if a 5 comes off, you're no good. So it's a really tough spot to be in with 3s.
2 8s. 2 7s.
Well, Feldman's also very deep.
That's what you got, right?
I got 2 pair.
And he says, I got 2 pair. He's not lying.
You're taking you're going to fold?
Did you just claim you had 2 10s?
No, I said I had 2 pair. I think he's got 2 8s.
I got 2 10s.
2 10s?
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
No, I don't claim 2 10s. I destroyed
There's
10.
2 4s on the board, right? Because you know he's got the 10-4 clubs.
Listen, that was Phil Ivey props. I have to raise with it. 4-4-5. He lost a lot of money with this one.
Feldman down $72,300, but more than that, just seems like he's out of sorts against these players. It seems like he's the weak spot here.
I don't know. I figure Andrew couldn't win a pot yet, so I'll try to make sure he won't win one.
He lost his mojo yesterday. I think he kind of got the steam taken out of him.
Tell you what, I see a new tied image from Tom Dwan this week.
Button in front of the Israeli success there in seat number 3.
Raise 2,400.
Hansen has raised this up with ace 10. He makes it 4,000.
Howard said he's favorite to.
Cool.
He's even money on those 5 bracelet thing, you know, to win one.
5 bracelet in what? 50 years?
No, right now. In these 5 events.
Thanks for the vote of confidence, buddy.
Benjamin calls. Action on Ellie, Queen 10. He's going to call that every time.
I might take the under. You know, if I win like 3 fast, I might.
I'm probably not going to be around for that bet, so don't waste your breath, okay?
Wow. And this is a perfect spot for a squeeze, too. Now, obviously, this is not a squeeze. He's got the goods.
17.
17,000.
But it's the perfect spot to make it look like a squeeze.
Absolutely right. Phil Ivey in great position to disguise his raise here.
Well, disguise is holding, right? I mean, it's one of those things where players might think he's making a move, but he's got the goods. He's got the aces. I'm not sure if anybody else has anything they want to play with, but Gus Hansen's, well, he's got enough gamble in him that he could push. Nah, he's going to give that one up, and I imagine if Gus gives it up, the rest of the table will as well. Oh, I thought he was giving it up. A little fake out, and he faked me out.
Well, he is in position, so that could affect his decision.
Yeah, the problem, though, is he's only got 110,000 behind. Does he really want to call 13,000? No.
No, I don't like it, but I'll tell you what. I do like his chip handling technique.
I got 1990 world champion.
No, I'm going to give this one up, and Ivey was hoping that somebody thought he would make a move.
Or somebody woke up with another hand. He was hoping for anything.
If somebody wakes up with a big hand there, Ivey's going to get played with. Ivey now up $166,000. Welcome back to the FullTiltPoker.com $1 Million Cash Game.
1,200.
What happened between 2002 and 2003?
Yeah, I know what he means. He means, like, why were there more people into poker in 2003? Like, what happened?
The WPT started airing in March of 2003.
Cool.
But not with hole cards until 2003.
Okay, so it's just the hole cards. That was the difference?
Look, they...
I won a couple of tournaments, and everybody saw that even an idiot can win tournaments. Okay,
but actually, I don't think Gus gets his due there. But,
a little self-deprecating humor from the great Dane Gus Hansen.
So,
it's Gus Hansen.
Online poker was starting to get some momentum, like in 2001, 2002.
It's been around since '98.
Gus Hansen being a little narcissistic there, taking all the credit for the poker boom.
And a big re-raise from Andrew Feldman here.
13-2.
And Feldman's going to make the big raise with king, queen of spades. He does have the best hand. And there's a chance it could work.
Gus can't like this situation. He has two people to act behind him.
I didn't know Gus won the first one.
He won the very first one.
Was it called like the championship?
It was the World Poker Tour. It was the Diamond, 5 Diamond, Bellagio, yada yada.
What is it? 13.
Gus Hansen trying to figure out, you know what, there's been a lot of 3-betting going on. There's a lot of squeezing going on. And nobody's showing down a hand. Maybe this kid is getting out of order. And the interesting thing is that if Hansen pushes here, Feldman can't call. Not with king-queen, can he?
Very, very tough spot for king-queen. Doesn't figure to be the best hand.
Nah, Gus is going to pick a better spot, though. And so is Benjamin. And these 3-bets are working to a T.
Pre-flop, been a high percentage of success.
If it works for Phil, it works for me.
That was about as patronizing a clap as I could ever see in my life. Elliot Lederer.
I don't think he was really rooting for him. I think he was like,
no, that's what I'm saying.
Hey,
it was such a,
kid,
was such a patronizing
you want
clap.
a pot.
Let's take a look at how the rest of the players at the table are doing. Tom Dwan up 254,000. Ellie up 233,000. Gus Hansen up 5,200. Feldman, Benjamin, Justin Smith, all down a combined $265,000.
Well, somebody's got to throw the party, David.
12 to play.
The great thing about a cash game is you can come and go as you please, and we've had some players leave the game. Chris Ferguson up 111,000. Annette Overstad up about 139,000. Ziggy, of course.
Buried.
Alari Sahamis, buried to say the least. He's down nearly $500,000. Does Andrew Feldman have a nickname?
Not one that I've heard.
Raised to 3,500.
Well, it should be Andrew I'm Too Cool Feldman.
Cool.
I don't know. Let's call him the kid.
I mean, no, that's so, come on, it's so cliche. The kid? How many kids can you have?
3, 5.
That's 25, the kids.
Yeah, nowadays you're right. Doesn't work anymore.
How'd you fold, Ellie? I don't understand.
Very hard.
Every hand I play, you raise.
What is this, 35? Give me, I need 2 cards.
Speaking of kids, we've got 2 kids. Heads up. Here's the flop.
8, 8, 7. Check or bet?
Ace, 8, 7. Not necessarily a great flop for Feldman.
Check.
No, he checks.
Kind of surprised that he checked here. His norm would be a continuation bet.
Oh, if Justin Smith takes a bet here, he should take this down. We'll see. Pot is 9,900. And Justin Smith's going to take the cue and see if he can steal this one using his position.
I quit after about 3 hours.
4,300.
The power of position. How meaningful is it in No Limit Hold'em?
It's powerful in any type of poker, but in No Limit, getting to see what your opponents do first and then being able to react, very strong position, being that important.
Feldman exhales, shakes his head. Oh. Not the usual sign of somebody who's gonna play this hand.
Yeah, even worse. Now he can't play this hand.
Yeah, he's pretty much told his opponent what he has, unless it's a complete snow job.
Just wouldn't make any sense if he didn't fold.
Ace jack.
No, that was back in the day when you'd have like 2 props.
Why do I?
Small possibility.
Why was I convinced you had ace jack?
And I'm Too Cool Feldman folds his hand.
Maybe I'm wrong.
We are in the heart of London. Covent Garden, to be more exact. That is the Great Dane in seat number 8. He busted his Achilles heel. And unfortunately, he's in his boot, but that's not going to stop him from playing this hand. He's got ace-5 of clubs.
Raised to 2,400.
It's just like they will.
Dwan's going to play.
2,400 total.
Yeah, why not?
But he's got the same hand as Hansen. They both have ace-5.
Tom, can you put your card?
Hansen clubs, Dwan hearts.
18 more to you.
I'm out.
Cool.
If you want, we can bet. I'll take Dwan, you take Gus. It's a draw if it's Ellie or Ivy. 8-8 deuce.
Check. Check.
I mean, I have all the respect in the world for the Great Dane. Doesn't get much better than Tom Dwan.
Bet 7,700.
Well, Dwan gives it up.
Yep. Continuation bet. What were we betting on that? I forgot. Forgot to name the wager.
Exactly. Sense of pride. You can just feel good about it. How's that?
I'm a poker player. I already got the pride part. I want the money.
Me, I'm out.
There he is.
And take a look at this. The Finnish sensation, Patrick Antonius, former model and tennis player, and the poker phenom, is back in the game. He's down a significant amount of money, and he is going to enter this game and see if he can win it back.
Patrick Antonius' theory on this is they're just holding on to his money right now.
Straddle's on for 12.
I fold.
Us.
Durrrr not going to play. Action on Ellie Lederer. He's going to pass the professor, Howard Lederer. He's got a few World Series of Poker bracelets to his name.
Raise to 4,000. Cool.
Call in position by Phil Ivey.
Cool.
And then another call in position by Patrick Antonius.
Fold.
Us.
And wait a
lot
minute.
of pocket pairs out there.
I was going to say, wait a minute. I thought Howard Lederer had 2 6s.
Cool.
Oh, wait. He does. So does Gus Hansen.
Cool.
I see any more 6s. I'm calling the card cops. Benjamin in there with the suited connector. Here's the flop. King 3 deuce, couple of diamonds.
It's okay.
Ivey
Ivey.
in the lead. He's flopped top pair.
Check.
Okay.
Check. Check.
Not a great kicker, but he is in command of this hand.
And actually, not a bad flop for 6s and a pre-flop raiser like Howard. Just checked around to Patrick Antonius, who's reaching for some chips.
Bet 13,000.
I think Patrick Antonius genuinely thinks he has the best hand right now.
It's an interesting check by Phil Ivey. Why would Phil Ivey check in the cutoff?
I think part of it's pot control. I mean, why play against 4 other opponents with top pair and a weak kicker on a very coordinated board?
You know what else is really interesting? By checking in the cutoff seat, if he knows Antonius is going to bet, he gets to see what everybody else does before it gets back to him. So if there's a bet and a check raise, he can throw away his weak king. No. But if everybody else folds, he can easily call being heads up with Antonius.
Very good point.
I am on complete tilt. Patrick, you just tilted me so much like you can't even imagine.
And the professor, Howard Lederer, and I said a few bracelets. It's almost like he's won everything. He's got 2 World Series of Poker bracelets. He's got 2 WPT titles. He was the 2003 WPT Player of the Year. The guy's an absolute animal. Deuce of spades on the turn. Pot now 47,100.
Check.
Ivey checks. Oh, this is the stuff I love. Phil Ivey, Patrick Antonius, 2 of the best. They have so much experience against each other. Antonius going to bet again. He's going to fire one more bullet.
Bet 26,000.
26,000 now. That's a big bullet. Pot now 73-1, and Ivey is being put to the test. And Phil Ivey knows if he calls this one, he might be faced with about an $80,000 bet on the river.
So if it is doing something,
cool.
Very good chance it's doing something tiny.
It doesn't really change anything, does it?
Check or bet? Check.
Okay.
Check.
Okay.
Check.
Try and take them, please.
Surprise.
It goes check, check, and Ivey's going to win this $99,000. And just a few moments ago, I said that Ivey gave some of his profits back. Well, I think he's got him back now. Some of the best in the poker world have come to London, put their skills to the test. There's one of them. That's David Benjamin. Patrick Antonius to the left. That's Justin Smith. He's got 1 World Series of Poker final table, 10 money finishes. He's got $1.6 million in live tournament winnings.
And a whole lot more in cash games.
You know he's married? Married to his childhood sweetheart.
I've known Justin for at least 2 or 3 years. I had no idea he was married.
Raise to 3,500.
Dwan's going to play.
3-5 total.
Action on the professor. He's going to fold. Patrick Antonius, the former model, when he got married, I think thousands of women across the world screamed and cried.
Two players to the flop. Patrick Antonius against Tom Dwan.
Well, Antonius and Dwan have tons of experience playing against each other.
6,000.
Antonius fires out a semi-bluff.
Cool.
Dwan's going to call. He's going to take one off. I'm not convinced.
I like that in position. Plus, he's got the ace of clubs. He's got the club blockers.
Tray. Check.
But if you have the ace of clubs in your hand, isn't it more likely that Antonius is not betting a draw? That he's actually betting, say, a 7 or a king?
Check.
Yes, it absolutely increases the chances of him having a real hand. But the reason why you have to call this flop is there's a ton of cards that can come here where you get a free card on the turn, and you might already have the best hand.
I think it would be the most tilting thing, like if you were there, like
Check.
500, come to the computer, have like 300 there.
Deuce.
Suspect we'll see a check here. Patrick Antonius is capable of firing this river card.
Well, if Antonius does fire the river, it's going to be a very tough call for Dwan.
Check.
Nope, he's not going to. He's going to give up.
Check.
Well, Dwan has nut no pair. Antonius pretty much has the nut low.
Low. Not low.
And Tom Dwan's content with taking down this 20K plus pot. I don't blame him. I'd be okay with it too.
Tom Dwan has pretty much done nothing wrong. And he is our leader of the $1 Million Cash Game. Up over $250,000. And we are in the heart of London with some of the best in the business.
The best of the best.
1,200 to play.
Not just the best. This is the cream of the crop. It's as good as it gets in poker.
Pass. Pass.
Pocket fives for Benjamin. He's going to limp in. Once again, we do straddling here.
Pass. Call.
Ivy's going to call.
I think that's a call in position. Hope to take down a lot of flops kind of hand. Queen 6 offsuit.
Raise to 6,300.
Well, Antonius sees the dead money in there, and he wants it.
Oh, he's got a good suited connector hand. 9-10 of hearts.
He's out of position. One of those spots where, well, if he gets called, he's got a decent hand that plays well post-flop. And if he doesn't get called, some nice dead money you can pick up, huh?
Call.
Absolutely.
6-3 total.
Benjamin calls. Ivy folds. Heads up. Benjamin Antonius. Wow.
Jack 4-7.
And a great flop for Patrick Antonius.
Unbelievable
Did he
flop.
know this was coming before he made this pre-flop raise?
Well, this is the sick thing. Benjamin actually has the best hand right now, but look at the percentages. Antonius flops a flush draw, a straight draw, and a gut shot straight flush draw.
Bet 12,000.
I mean, you think of the cards that he can catch. An 8, a 9, a 10, any heart.
Definitely got a ton of outs.
62% chance, and he doesn't have a pair yet.
Cool.
But that percentage changes drastically here on the turn.
Tray.
We flip-flopped because now Benjamin is now a 61% chance of winning this pot if it goes to showdown.
And David Benjamin had to love that turn card. It doesn't look like it could have helped Patrick Antonius.
At the same time, if somehow Benjamin is behind, he's picked up more outs. He's picked up a gut shot.
That's true also.
Bet 29,000.
Another bullet from Antonius. He bets 29,000. A tough spot for Benjamin. Can you call us?
Real marginal because most likely you're going to face a river bet unless it comes a scare card. So it turns out a scare card is exactly what Patrick Antonius needs. So that's what he is drawing at. Yeah, it's a tough call from this spot. Real tough call.
On top of that, if you think your opponent is bluffing, if you have fives, there's a good chance.
Cool.
Wow, he calls. There's a good chance he could outdraw you on the river anyway.
That's true as well.
Antonius, a 3-2 dog with one card remaining. Here's the river.
7.
A 7, you gotta like it.
Yeah. If you're the 2 5s, that looks like a pretty safe card.
I mean, short of catching a 5 or a 6, that's pretty much the best card you can see. Can Patrick fire another bullet?
Well, I think since he doesn't have any showdown value at all, he's almost has to bet here.
How much is he going to bet?
Oh,
and can he win this pot?
60,000.
You think he'll get the job done?
Bet 76,000.
76,000. What courage. 3 bullets from Patrick Antonius.
You got to be willing to fire that third barrel, and Patrick Antonius said, I am willing. That's a tough call for David Benjamin. I don't think we'll see a call.
I mean, if he makes this call, that would be absolutely fantastic for him. Antonius is almost playing this hand as if he flopped a set.
Yeah,
he's so fast.
Definitely playing it as if he has a made hand.
And sure enough, Benjamin's got to let it go. Great aggressive play. Great play from Patrick Antonius. Now brings him down, only down 74,500. I say only, but he was down 122 earlier. He was down 265. Our big loser, Justin Smith, down 134,000. Tom Dwan still on top of the leaderboard.
Things have gone from bad to worse for Ilari Sahamis. The man they call Zygmunt has cut his losses and left the game after seeing his bank balance take a hit of just under $500,000. As we approach the home straight, it's Tom Dwan and Elia Lederer who remain neck and neck at the top of our leaderboard. Can durrrr hold off the Israeli to win his second title, or will a late charge from one of our chasing pack see them take the championship instead? It is all still to play for, so join us next time for the thrilling conclusion of the FullTiltPoker.com $1 Million Cash Game.